Hi all, I was asked to do an example like this type of problem where you're to use factoring to solve the following quadratic equation. Now you're to check by substitution by using a graphing utility and identify x-intercepts. That's just verifying the solution, but to actually find the solution is what we'll go through. So we have the equation 36x times the quantity x plus 1 equals to 187. And we want to solve this by factoring. So what we need to do is get 0 on one side, everything else on the other side, have that polynomial on the left-hand side all multiplied out, and then factor it. So what I would do first is I could distribute this 36x. So we'd have 36x squared plus 36x equals to 187. And then I would subtract the 187 from both sides. So you get the 36x squared plus 36x minus 187 equals to 0. And then we want to see, can we factor this quadratic? One thing, there is no greatest common factor you could factor out. 36, 36, and 187 don't share any common factors besides 1. So we got to think, okay, how does this factor? The product of what two binomials will give us this 36x squared plus 36x minus 187? Now, the way you could do this by trial and error, it's pretty difficult, just because 36 has quite a few factors. Like we could have, for the first terms, it could be x, 36x, it could be 2x, 18x, it could be 3x and 12x, or it could be 4x and 9x, or it could be 6x and 6x. And then you'd have to try that with all the possibilities of what our constant terms were going to be, and to figure those out, the product of our constant terms will be this negative 187. Fortunately for that, there's negative 187 factors to only, or 187 itself, it's 11 times 17. So at least there's only one possibility for the way that could factor. But you would still have to go through all the possibilities. Like it could be the 11, the negative 17 here, or it could be the 17 here, negative 11 there, and so on. So you had to go through all the possibilities. So for this one, it turns out this factors to 6x and a 6x there. And then it'll be, like we said, 11 and 17. And now this will be positive and this will be negative, because we know when we multiply this out, let's see, 6x times 6x would be 36x squared. Then we'd have the 6x times 17. That'll be 102. And then the 11 times 6, that'll be 66. So the 102 minus the 66 will give us the 36x. And then, like we said, negative 11 times 17 will be this negative 187. So now that we have it factored, we could use that zero product property, that if we have this times this equals to 0, then either this is equal to 0, the 6x minus 11 is 0, or the 6x plus 17 is 0. Now we have to get 0 on one side of the equations to be able to use the zero product property, because when we had it here, this 36x times x plus 1 equals to 187, then there's a lot more possibilities of what x could be. But with it being 0 on one side, it must be the case that one of the two factors has to be 0. And then we solve for x separately for each equation. Add 11 to both sides, we get 6x equals to 11. Divide both sides by 6, we get x is 11 or 6. And on the other one would be subtract 17 from both sides, we get 6x equals to negative 17. Divide both sides by 6, we get x is negative 17 over 6. So our solutions in this case is a negative 17 over 6 and 11/6. And the way you could verify, you could plug in these values into the equation, and when you multiply them together, the left side will equal to the right side. So I hope that helps.